All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. This is going to be more of a normal video. If you followed the channel, well, we'll get into that in a minute. This is from Highwater Knives. This is the Estuary. Estuary. JD is the owner, maker, designer, the one-man band that is making these custom knives in the United States, Salt Lake City, Utah, for the amazing low price of $295. I just got to get that out there. $300 for a custom knife. Do you need to spend thousands and thousands to get a custom made knife? No, you don't. And I've talked about that before. Sure, you can spend thousands. You can spend thousands on a Hellraiser. Some people argue, is it worth that price when I can get another custom for $300? I can't make that decision for you. That's a personal decision you need to make. As you get up in the price range, you start to get different materials is really what it boils down to. And then there's some fit and finish. Let's talk about this one first. I'm trying not to ramble on and on. As I mentioned, if you've been following my channel daily, you've seen a bunch of unboxings lately and kind of maybe it seems a little off on my channel because it is. We've got the holidays, got a son with a son having a son. So a first grandbaby. So there's been a lot of stuff around that. And there'll be more to come on that whole deal. But so I'm trying to get back in the saddle. I was a little off maybe with the holidays and stuff. But all right, so back to the Estuary. Estuary is, I had to look it up and I checked on his website and he had it there too. Estuary means where a river ends, the ending of a river. Thus also a beginning, because it's where the river meets the ocean and the fresh water dilutes and mixes with the salt water of the ocean. So it's kind of the ending of one and the beginning of another, which is where this came from. JD was a aerospace engineer. And speaking of aerospace engineers, I have a VC Edge here to talk about a little bit as well from my friend Jason Van Camp, who was also an aerospace engineer. So after years of being an engineer and designing and working on engines for jet aircraft, JD moved on to different engineering roles. And then finally, when his wife got a job in Salt Lake, they relocated and he said, screw it, I'm going to make a knife. And this is what he came up with. And he makes this in his garage, one by one, handmade, custom, in the United States for $300. And it's a button lock. One of the finicky this is not your normal, hey, I'm going to make a knife for the first time. Normally people, and there's no wrong way to do it. A lot of times they're going to make a fixed blade first. Then they're going to get into a folder and they'd probably do a frame lock because it's arguably more simple and whatnot. The button lock, there's a lot of geometry involved, a lot of finickiness with the detent, with the lockup and things like that. So I applaud him for just going into the deep end. All right, so let's talk about some specs here, and then we'll talk about some of the things I like and a couple of the things I don't like. Okay, so you're 4 3/4 closed. You're just a hair under 8 3/8 overall. 3.57 inch blade length. Behind the edge, you're kind of thick at 0.023. Blade thickness 0.121. This particular one is CPM 154. You have an option of getting S35VN if you would like. So those are your two options. Weighs in at 4 ounces. Overall thickness is 0.548 minus the clip. And it runs on caged bearings. They're not ceramic. They're just stainless caged bearings. All right, let's zoom in and take a close look. So You'll notice here the CNC grinding of the blade, if you will. Very Norseman-ish. There are other companies that do this also, the milling on the blade. You either like that or you don't. I like it. I think it adds some visual appeal to it. I think that it works fine in cutting and slicing duties with it. It does not hinder the operations of the blade, in my opinion. You have aluminum scales that are milled, reversible pocket clip, and a button lock that works really well. Solid lockup, releases nice and easy. The detent is incredibly strong, like finger breaking strong, and I don't like that. Now, from what I understand in talking to some other people that know a little bit more about this, I have not talked to JD myself. He tunes each one individually. So if you want a lighter detent when you order, you just need to tell him. Now, this one works. I kind of do the flying flip. I think the ninja fly. A lot of people kind of put their finger and load up and then fire. I just always kind of start here and fire it, but it is a little uncomfortable. It is a really, really strong detent. It's not my fave. The pocket clip is also very strong. It's pretty thick. It is stainless steel. Sure, you can adjust it out some if you like. I would prefer a different clip. Lighter clamping force, maybe shorter. It's a very long clip also. Jason's on the VC Edge is a very short clip. So I kind of want something in the middle, and I don't know that I have. Well, here on this Latch 22 is a typical Benchmade type clip, which I think would just work better. Just something a little shorter, I think. And maybe stonewashed, because the blade is kind of stonewashed. So maybe a stonewashed clip would match a little bit better. This aesthetic does match the button. Okay. So those are my two dislikes. But that's very subjective, right? The flipper tab pressure and the pocket clip pressure is very subjective. So that may not be an issue for you. The blade, I love the Tonto blade. I love the slightest of recurve there. I would almost like a little more recurve because I love a recurve. But something about it, to me, it seems like it's too narrow in this dimension in relation to the handle. I don't, to me, it just looks odd. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get this knife to check out. It was in a pass around group. Blade Banter sent this to me. So this is Jason Van Camp's VC Edge number 80. This is more of a full dress. I do have a standard build here. And they're just different. But, you know, speaking of aerospace engineers, here's what they can come up with. And I would expect nothing less than crazy designs from somebody that works on airplanes and whatnot and designs things for airplanes. So kind of cool. Not really, can't really compare them because they're totally different materials and whatnot. And price range. So even the base model one, you're at just under 300. And I think these are like at about 1,100 now in his last drop. 1,150 maybe, something like that in the last drop. I don't remember what this one cost me. The full dress one was 3,000 plus. I'll just throw it out there. I think this is a cool knife. I think it looks a little odd to me just in that aesthetics look, but that's okay. Here it is with the Sharpie, just to give you kind of a comparison. The Spyderco Delica and the Kubi KB237, just because I love this as a budget knife. You already saw it next to the VC Edge interface. How about next to the D cell and AA batteries? Again, I think it's a cool knife. I don't love button locks. They're kind of one of my least favorite locking mechanisms. And the detent, man, is just so strong. So if you're going to buy one, I would recommend asking for a lighter detent, because just flipping this here through this video and a little bit before the video, my finger is a bit sore. And you can say I have delicate fingers, sure, whatever. But I do like the fact that it's a reversible pocket clip. I do like the fact that you can get a custom-made knife in the United States for $300. Now, there are other people that do that. Freeman Outdoors makes one that's in that $325, $350 range, which is also a button lock made here in the United States. And if I'm not wrong, I think he's in Oregon. You also have American Blade Works. And I'm drawing a blank on the model. It's the Model 1 and the Model 2. They're in that 300, 290, 350. Like they're in that 3-ish range. And those are handmade customs, one by one. It doesn't have to be full dress exotic materials to be a custom knife, in Dirk's opinion. You may have a different opinion, and if you do, comment down below. And then you got Medford Knife and Tool. They got their Smooth Criminal button lock. Their Smooth Criminal button lock is like $325, $350 for production made, and much smaller than this, and a super light detent, almost too light. And quite frankly, it's a Medford that's production that's, meh. I wouldn't go there, right? You're getting much more bang for your buck here at a cheaper price. So there are other American-made knives in that 300-ish price range that have button locks. So you have options. Use them. I'm going to put the Highwater website down below in the description, and I'm going to put his Instagram. From what I understand, Instagram, he's super responsive, and that's where you can really talk to him, dial in the specifics that you want. Again, the options that I am aware of: blade steel, CPM 154 or S35, and detent pressure, detent strength, detent pull. I don't know. Get a lighter detent. Trust me on this one. You're going to want something lighter than this for the average person. Thanks a lot, everybody. Let me know what your thoughts are. I will probably reach out to JD and see if we can get him on the EDC hour at some point with Alex and I. That is our live stream. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I would really appreciate it. I'll put a playlist up in the corner or something. It's really, we've moved it to this channel. We had a separate channel. We've moved it back to this channel at this point, just to get a little bit more exposure and things like that. Starting a new channel was kind of a silly idea. Anyway, ramble, there you go. Let me know your thoughts.